Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Pro Revenge. In today's episode, the Christmas ornaments Robin Hood. Neighbors steal our dog, we take their kids. I recruited an unwitting army to annoy an asshole. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. The Christmas ornaments Robin Hood. It is 2020, unfortunately. It's the day after my two younger sisters, and I flew out to Pennsylvania to see my dad, who lives there after getting divorced by my mom for 15 years of not being a good husband or dad. He lives with his mom, cranky grandma, and her devil cat, as well as my amazing aunt and her angel kitten. Dad gets home from work. "Where's Emmy?" he asks my cranky grandma. "She's in the basement," cranky grandma says, probably throwing in a snide comment or two about the newly dyed purple hair adorning my head or the leather fingerless gloves that have joined my black wardrobe. "Looking for some Christmas ornaments." Dad goes down the basement stairs and finds me rummaging through cardboard boxes. "What are you looking for?" he says. "Hi, Dad," I say. "Well, I noticed that you decorated for Christmas, but you're missing a few things. Where are the mooses?" The mooses are a pair of stuffed mooses that have been put up every Christmas since I can remember. They're brown, about 2 feet tall, and soft as a marshmallow. There's Mama Moose, who is named Mary, holding Baby Moose, who is named Christmas, and is in a red velvet sack reading Merry Christmas on it in gold embroidery. The mooses always go on the couch to watch over the living room and all the decorations, and presents in it while we're asleep. The problem with the mooses is that when my mom divorced Dad, she was so scared of him that she let him have almost everything. This included the mooses and quite a few more of her treasured ornaments. And since I've always been the one to set the mooses on the couch, that first Christmas with a divorced dad just didn't feel right without them. Dad helps me look for the mooses for a while. "Sorry, sweetie, they must have gotten lost in the move," he says. I smile and don't tell him that I hate being called sweetie. "It's okay," I say, and pull out a cardboard box. "Hey, look. It's your What God Wants for Christmas box." I love that tradition. We go set up What God Wants for Christmas in the living room. I say, "I think I'm going to go take a nap." Dad says, "Okay." I go upstairs and into my room and shut the door. I walk over to the window seat/storage chest under the window. I open it. "Hello, mooses," I say. The mooses lay on top of my stuffed animal collection, looking dusty. Several other ornaments I recognize as Mom's are keeping them company. I grin and shut the chest. It is the day we fly back to my home state. I have the mooses packed away in my suitcase, and the other ornaments tucked beside them, wrapped in my fluffiest, but still black, hoodie to protect them. I roll my suitcase out to the hallway. Dad is weighing youngest sister's bag to make sure it's under 50 pounds. "Okay, now I need to check it to make sure you're not stealing any of my stuff," he tells her. My mind says, "Oh no." My brain gives me uncomfortable memories of how Dad raged when he thought one of us had stolen his coffee mug. My voice says, "Privacy invaded in 3, 2. In a joking tone. Dad and youngest sister laugh. Dad does not check anyone's suitcase. We are at the airport. Younger sister's suitcase is somehow 3 pounds over the weight limit. Dad says, "Emmy, grab one of the suitcases that already went through and open it up. We'll put some of younger sister's stuff in there." He gestures to my suitcase. My mind makes an ear-splitting screeching noise that sounds like someone slammed their brakes to avoid hitting a pterodactyl and hit the pterodactyl anyway. My brain imagines Dad opening the suitcase and going into a rage at the sight of the mooses. My voice says, "Sure, Dad." My hands grab youngest sister's suitcase instead of mine and pass it over. Dad opens it. Her suitcase contains no smuggled goods. We transfer the stuff and the very nice airport lady sends all the bags down the conveyor belt. Dad asks me why I wave to mine. I shrug. Just being weird, I say. Good luck, mooses, my mind says. We are back home. My family, my older sister, who didn't go with us, Mom, my other grandma, who we call Mega, and my Papa, or Grandpa, are all sitting in the living room catching up. I say, I'm disappointed you took the tree down already. Older sister laughs. It's past New Year's. I know, I say, but I brought some stuff to put on it. I open my suitcase. I show around the ornaments I smuggled back: 3 tiny stuffed snowmen, our cat's catnip stuffed cat ornament, a white clay angel, a wooden rocking horse, a wooden mouse king, a clay snowman, my older sister's stuffed dog. When I unveil the rocking horse, Mega gasps. I bought that for your mother when she was little, she exclaims. How did your dad get it? That's not everything, I say. I unzip the flap hiding the mooses from view. I pull out the mooses. Older sister and Papa clap. How did you get those back here right under Dad's nose? Older sister asks. Mega laughs so hard she has tears in her eyes. The tears in Mom's eyes are not from laughter. Slowly, she reaches out and takes the mooses, hugging them to her chest. Over their antlers, she mouths thank you. And then, she gets up, and she sets the mooses down. On the couch. Right where they belong. Neighbors steal our dog, we take their kids. This happened when I was around December 13th, so the details might be a little skewed. Most of my childhood, the house right next to ours has been condemned and abandoned. The property owners were willing to sell the land for $200. That's how bad it was. My family didn't buy it because the land tax in our area is high because we are a school of choice. Eventually someone bought it and threw a manufactured home on it to replace the condemned home. Soon a nice old man moved in next door, and we didn't pay to close attention because he kept to himself. That was until his daughter moved in with him. Soon our quiet little neighborhood turned into an episode of white trash in trouble. The daughter would fight with her spouse about every little thing, and keep my family along with our neighbors up half the night. Their kids were the worst part of all. We never knew how many kids lived in that house because so many different children and adults were in and out of there all the time. Me and my siblings tried to become friends with them because there are not too many kids our age in the town. We ended up being more of their babysitters than just a friendly neighbor kid. They would come over to our house and each of my siblings had a group of kids, 3 to 4 each, to watch over. These kids would walk in uninvited into our house, while we would play with their sibling in the yard. Then steal toys and games from our rooms. Honestly, they stole stuff from all over our house, but this was the main areas. They would either take it for themselves or throw it in our backyard river. They did that a lot if we made them mad for taking back our stuff. They would constantly run in and out of our house, even if no one was with them. They would steal all of the fruit in the basket my mom left out for us. My mom didn't kick them out immediately, because she never wanted to deny a kid food if they need it. My mom confronted the parents about their behavior, and their 3-year-old son called her *TCH. The parents refused to apologize for their behavior, saying stuff like, if you loved it so much you wouldn't have let them take it, or don't parent my kid. One thing they would specifically do with me is they pulled on my hair all the time. I'm a tomboy, and they would just call me a boy in a wig because girls can't play with skateboards, girls can't play with ninja action figures or any other gender stereotype. They would constantly bombard me because they truly didn't know girls were allowed to play with anything they wanted. One of their heavier children stole my skateboard and jumped on it, breaking it in half. Similar to that so no head vine. Then they said I shouldn't have been playing with one anyway. There are plenty more examples, but I think you get the point. The neighbors decided that because our house was nicer, that they had permission to run an electrical line from our backyard plugs to their house. Which in itself is a bad thing, but they decided to run off our electric bill to triple the cost of our original. We were lower middle class / below poverty level, so we couldn't afford that kind of bill. The rule in our house is if you're not using it is turned off. That's why my parents were awfully surprised to see an $800 electric bill. Eventually, a person from our electric company came out to our house to see what was happening. They found an extension cord running to their house. The electrician simply unplugged it, then warned the neighbors of the legal reasons why they can't do that. Then said that should be the end of that problem. My mom politely but sternly went to the neighbors that this was not okay. The neighbor had a small adult tantrum about it and cussed my mom out, but eventually come back into her home. My mom was obviously not pleased with their behavior, but tried not to escalate the situation any further. Our neighbors tried 1 or 2 more times to run the line from our house to theirs. They would move it at night so we wouldn't see them move it. Each time when we unplugged it, they would cuss us out and send their kids over to destroy something else in our home. Eventually Mom straight up told them if they or their come on our property again, she would call the police and press charges. We could still be friends with their kids, but they weren't allowed on our land. They decided that because we won't let them use our electricity, that the next best option was to steal our dog from the backyard and claim our dog attacked her kids. Even though our dog was harmless and cowers at everything due to bad owners before us, I'm guessing because our dog liked to rip her tags off a lot that the neighbors said she was a stray. That attacked them. The pound came and took our puppo away. By the time my brothers and I got home, she was already gone. We just assumed she ran off to our grandmother's, who lived down the street. She would do this often because my grandma spoils her. When my parents came home, they about lost it, learning our dog was missing. We obviously looked for her but couldn't find her. After 2 days, we found her at the dog pound. The officer said it was obvious that our dog didn't hurt their kids, but they still had to take her in for an evaluation. My parents had to spend $200 to get her out. The pound told us why the dog was taken, and my mom enough was enough. Now the revenge. When my mom got home, she sent my little brother over to their house to play with their kids. He was still friends with some of them at the time. My brother became a little spy that day. His job was to look around their house and report anything that could be suspicious. We learned from him that they were sitting 3 kids to a twin bed. The entire house was cramped and dirty. The old man that lived there was hardly home because he couldn't stand his adult daughter that lived there, but he didn't want to evict her from the home and leave his grandkids homeless. All around the kids were being neglected. With the information my brother gathered, my mom called CPS, Child Protective Services, on the home. Within the month all of the children minus 1, who the old man cared for, were removed from the home. While I agree the foster system is bad, it was definitely better than what they were going through in that house. The mother of the children started to fight with the old man, her father, on everything. Because her kids were no longer there as a distraction. The old man was to be her next victim. The old man eventually was fed up with her and kicked her out of the home. All that was left in the home was the old man and the grandson he was fostering. They are both very kind and amazing neighbors. I recruited an unwitting army to annoy an asshole. Back in the early 90s, my friend, I'll call him Lou because that's his name, was selling his RX-7 via an ad in the old print auto trader. It came out every Thursday, so that first weekend was critical for sales. The very first guy that came to see it on Saturday said he wanted to buy after driving it. Of course, he had to finance, so they couldn't finish the sale during the weekend. Lou was worried about losing all the bites from the new ad, so he asked for a deposit of $500. The guy wrote a check. Lou told the rest of the callers that weekend that it was sold and, unfortunately, didn't ask for their numbers in case it fell through. This story predates Kairit availability in my area by a couple years, so those leads were gone. As you surely expect by now, the guy flakes on Monday and Lou deposits the check. Payment stopped. Big surprise. Sitting around my apartment, we schemed revenge, but all we had to go on was the check. Lucky for karma, there was a phone number printed on it. Our first idea was to write a little program to dial his number repeatedly from my modem, but that would be easily stopped and probably get us in direct trouble. Then Lou got a page from his work. This was back in the one-way pager days. You call the pager's dedicated phone number, it sounds a tone, then you punch digits for the number you want to be sent to the pager. The person with pager receives the number you entered and, presumably, calls it. Everyone with a pager made sure that people who needed to get a hold of them had the number for their pager. You'd see pager numbers in print and TV ads all the time for various services. Boom, angelic choir sings, heavenly light goes off. Lou's pager number and my pager number had the same prefix, middle 3 digits. What if we randomly dial numbers with that prefix and page them all to this guy's number? So we order a pizza, open some beers, and start looking through the yellow pages at locksmiths and tow truck services to find more pager prefixes. We wind up with a dozen or so. After that, it's half an hour of coding in ye old Borland C++. I put together a program that would cycle through our list of known prefixes and add a random final 4 digits to get a random pager. It calls the pager's number, pauses, then dials this A*** whole S number and throws A** 911 suffix on there for good measure, which is something people with pagers understood to indicate an emergency of some kind. The whole thing was just generating a string like ATDT602XXXYYYY, *911 hashtag, where XXX is the pager prefix and YYYY is random. Commas make pauses, since you need to connect to the paging service before you can enter the message. Make string, send to modem, wait for NO carrier, hang up, repeat. We start eating the pizza and let it fly. I was very picky about my devices, so my modem was a US Robotics Courier. You could set an S register to control how long it would sound each tone when dialing. Uber nerds like myself would keep tinkering with that to get it as fast as possible, while still being recognized by the phone service. It was very fast. I swag it could run through 4 pages per minute, so this guy would get 240 calls/hour. We just watched it run and laughed our asses off. We realized pretty early on that we didn't really know if it was working, so we wandered down to the 7-Eleven and called him from a payphone, just in case he could somehow trace it or the puppa were on the case and watching. A man answered and I said, "Hello, I got a page at this number." I heard an audible sigh and then he just hung up. Gold. We ended up running it for a few hours, then let it go quiet for a few days. Then we scheduled it to start dialing in the middle of the night every few days, plus we'd fire it up by hand randomly whenever we had a party. We checked again from the 7-Eleven after a week, and it went to an answering machine, which did the rapid tone at the end of the greeting to indicate the tape was full. We reasoned that the line was still ringing anyway, so we kept at it for another month or so. Eventually, we got the disconnected warning when we made one of our regular checkups. I'm sure he just changed the number. I like to think about that guy answering the phone after a few days of silence when we started it up. I can vividly imagine his response at the "Did someone page me to this number?" as he slams the phone down, and then it rings again a few seconds later. Or, of course, coming home from work and having an answering machine full of random people asking about being paged. And, yeah, we annoyed several thousand people into calling this guy by the end. But each of those people was only put out for a single call. A cost, yes, but a necessary one for justice.